Guys, this is Mubin. We are talking about cardiovascular system general principles. Now, let's also look at the state of the pulmonary circuit. What is the difference of this circuit from the systemic circuit? Please keep this in mind. This is really important. So, first of all, pulmonary circuit is a passive circuit. We'll talk about that here as well. What that means is it does not try to regulate itself by itself. It works as the blood volume and the pressure comes into it. It would just go along, it would go with the flow. So it is a passive circuit which is said to be always dilated or always open vessels. Compare this to the systemic vessels, which are usually called always closed or always constricted vessels. So systemic arteries offer resistance normally. Pulmonary arteries do not offer resistance in normal state. To further compare it, the capillary network of the pulmonary system has a mean pressure of 10 millimeter of mercury, while the systemic mean pressure in the small vessels and in the capillaries is about 20 millimeter of mercury. Not in the capillaries, but really just before the arterioles. The other thing is pulmonary vasculature as a whole. The pressure in this vasculature is about 6 times lesser than that of the systemic vasculature. So if the left ventricular pressure or the aorta pressure is 120 millimeter, the right ventricular pressure is 20 to 25 millimeter. So pulmonary vessel pressure is about 6 times lesser than that of the body. All right, so that is the state of the pulmonary vasculature. Let's talk about the passive circuit now. Look at this circuit here. What we got over here is this is the right atrium. This is the right ventricle. As the blood comes into the right atrium through the superior and inferior vena cava, the blood, of course, go to the right ventricle. From there, it goes to the pulmonary artery. This is deoxygenated blood. And this blood from here will continue going towards the lungs through the pulmonary artery. Once inside the lungs, this blood will become oxygenated and then it would come back through the pulmonary veins to the heart. What is important here is to understand we're not considering the pulmonary artery here. What we are looking at is the lungs themselves. So look at this. Lungs are surrounded by pleura, right? Pleura itself is then encased with the heart, actually over here. This whole thing is in thoracic cavity, right? So this is thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity is separated from abdominal cavity through diaphragm. It is also sealed shut from the rest of the areas. So it is a closed system. What are the openings for this? Of course, the esophagus is passing through it. We also know that the airway, this airway through the mouth is connected to the thoracic cavity. We also know that the vena cava will bring blood to it, one from the head and neck area and the other from the body area. And we also know that aorta will connect outside the thoracic cavity through its branches, and itself it will be going down as well. So these are the various connections of the heart and the lungs to the world outside of the thoracic cavity. Now in this one, what is important is the lungs. As I inspire or I expire the air, the thoracic cavity is expanding or contracting. Actually, I'm inspiring or expiring the air because of the expansion and contraction of the thoracic cavity. So the thoracic cavity itself now contains the lungs and the heart. So what we need to understand is that the levers that affect the lungs are primarily two, and the lung vasculature are primarily two. Number one, the breathing or the thoracic cavity's activity, and number two, heart's activity, because heart can increase the blood volume towards the lungs or reduce it. So of course, that would mean respiration would also mean diaphragm and so on, but these are the primary levers. So let's see what happens. When we want to inspire, we have the bucket handle movement of the ribs, and the diaphragm pushes down. The end result is that thoracic cavity expands. When the thoracic cavity expands, that creates negative pressure in the pleura, and that negative pressure pulls the lungs out. So as the chest expands, lungs are pulled out. When the lungs are pulled out, the blood vessels inside the lung, they experience two things. This is really important. One is they get distended. So they are dilated, they are pulled up, and they're stretched. Second is there is recruitment. Recruitment is there are blood vessels in the pulmonary circuit that are normally closed or are not fully opened up. When there is expansion of the chest, these closed blood vessels are also pulled open. That is called recruitment. So please remember that the lung vasculature increases its capacity by distending the existing open vessels and by recruiting closed vessels. These two are really important factors to keep in mind. Now, when the thoracic cavity compresses back, let's say I'm expiring, and it compresses back, now what happens is there is pressure onto the lungs and of course the lung vasculature, and that causes the reverse of this. Distension would go back and the vessels would constrict, and similarly, or compress, not constrict. Constrict is an active function, compression is a passive function. They'll be compressed, and the recruitment simply means these vessels would collapse. So what would happen is some vessels would shut down, other will be compressed, and the blood will be pumped out. So that is why we call that the lung vasculature is a passive circuit. It is influenced by the factors outside. Now, how about the cardiac factors? This is where, please write it down somewhere. This is where the lung vasculature is different from systemic vasculature. When the cardiac output increases, there is more blood into the lung vasculature. So if I make, let's say this is heart, and this is the blood vessel of the lung, and this is heart, and this is the blood vessel of the system. This is systemic blood vessel. If you increase the output, to the pulmonary vasculature, then what happens is that the pulmonary vessel becomes extended, it dilates, it reduces the resistance up to an extent, otherwise it will burst. The resistance of the pulmonary vessel reduces when the cardiac output increases or when the volume increases. On the other hand, in the systemic tissue, when the volume increases, let's say the cardiac output has increased or the stroke volume has increased, when the volume increases, the blood vessels try, especially the arterioles and arteries, they try to react to that, and they try to increase their resistance. So they do get extended, they do get expanded, but their resistance increases. Why? They are protecting the systemic tissues. If this resistance does not increase, if the blood vessels just balloon out, either they'll burst or all of the blood will be pooled in those arteries, and from there will go to one tissue or so, and the rest of the tissues will be compromised. So what happens is this is a reverse effect in the lungs. Whenever there is increased volume that comes to the lung, the resistance reduces, blood vessels become compliant and they expand, pressure increases. This is inverse to the systemic, where the resistance increases. This one factor would help you a lot during lots of questions and lots of clinical thinking when the patient is present in your clinic. Okay, so let's go back to our discussion here. So what is the effect of the heart then? If the cardiac output increases, the volume increases, the blood vessel would of the pulmonary system, they will expand, resistance would reduce, and there will be increased volume and increased pressure. So that is what we have, and that is what is called the passive nature of the pulmonary circuit. So thank you very much.